Hi, everyone. I'm David, and today we're going to teach you guys how to play Twilight Struggle. I've got a game going with Tucho, and we're going to play maybe the first 2 or 3 rounds and talk about what's happening. I've got coffee, so hopefully this will be interesting. As you can see, Tucho is the USSR, which means he's normally in control of the flow of the game at the start, and he's made a strong opening, which is starting with placement in the two Eastern European battleground countries. So the US, I'm going to match that by placing in West Germany and Italy. I'm going to avoid France for now because it's a bit unstable in the early games. Now, I'm looking, normally you're going to have the USSR. It's either going to try to take control of Italy or it's going to try to take control of Iran its first turn, and the US has to respond. If I take a look at my cards, you can see it's kind of a bit of a middling hand. A bunch of one ops, a bunch of two ops, one four op, which I'll be using to coup, probably. So I feel vulnerable pretty much everywhere. So I'm going to let him decide where he wants to go. And my guess is he's going to go for Europe. So we're going to pick our headline cards. And I don't have a lot of ops, so I'm going to play this captured Nazi scientist because it's going to push me up in the space race right at the front, which is going to get me one more op than Tuco. So one op for one VP is not a bad trade. So select. Fuck. Fuck you, Tuco. Tuco's purged me. I'm going to lose one op every card this round, and I'm already op poor. It's a bunch of one op cards. This is going to be terrible. So let's see what he does. US is in control. At least he didn't clear out. He could have played socialist governments, cleared out Italy for an easy coup. His first turn coup is going to be a bit harder, which is positive. Let's see what he does. If I were him, I'm beautiful. He spent a four ops card Marshall Plan to coup Italy, and it was just such a terrible coup. You can see here he rolled a one. So he's just given me Europe, unless he can figure out a way. I'm even going to put into France. So right now, let's see. Milops is down to 4. That means he can't coup in Europe again. So I'm going to put my focus on defending Iran because if he coups it, then I can coup it back. Maybe I can take it, but I've got low ops. So I'm going to, what should we do? Let's play Romanian Abdication. It's one op, and we're going to event after op. Doesn't really matter. We're just going to put a single op into Iraq. And the reason we're going to do that is he might coup, he might try to remove me from Iran. And if you're the USSR, the reason you want to do that is you want to prevent the US from having access to Afghanistan and Pakistan to move its influence in. So he had such a terrible first time. Okay, duck and cover, that lowers VP. Coups it again. This is a terrible opening for Tuco. He hasn't removed me out of Italy. He hasn't removed me out of Iran. And the worst thing about it is I've got terrible cards. So he doesn't really have any excuse. So we're going to just play special relationship. We're going to patch that back up. If you've got your countries at control, it's harder for people to move in. They need to spend 2 ops instead of 1 to add an extra bit of influence. And I'm blocking him from moving into Pakistan. I actually have this card, Indo-Pakistani War. This makes Pakistan pretty unstable in the early games. Because I've got it, I don't need to be worried that much about Pakistan. What I am worried about is I'm worried about West Germany because I've got one 3-op card and there's this blockade card out there. So if I can play my 3-op, so let's do that, and we're going to hope he doesn't. Oh, I don't want to do it. Okay, we're going to play Comic-Con, and we're just going to force him. If he wants it, he's going to have to spend his China card. You can use the China card to flip. It's 5 ops if you play it in Asia, so you could technically use it to flip a country like Pakistan. You put in your first op, that's 2, and then 3 more gives you control. Okay. We're gonna. So he's placed in East Germany, Poland. Yeah. So he just spent his China card to take Pakistan. Back up. Okay. We're gonna give you Nasser, and we're gonna move up, and we're gonna try to take Thailand. I'm being careful with my 4-op card because I think he's purged me. He might have blockade, so he might be wanting to. Blockade's a card that strips out all U.S. control in West Germany. I mean, come on. I'm not gonna. There's not much I can do. I'm gonna play independent Reds, and I'm gonna put my influence into Romania. There's not much I can do. Asia behind. I just don't have ops. See, he's done it. He's played blockade. Fuck you, Tucho. I held that card because I knew you were going to do it. And so my last turn, I've got one card. This isn't great. It's really not great. Let's play for ops and let's just reinforce Iran. We're doing that because next turn he might coup again. So that first round is over. We get new cards. We're at the start of the headline phase again. Let's review the board quickly. Europe is tied. It's 2 battlegrounds versus 2 battlegrounds. I've got a little lead in France, but it's super easy for the USSR to strip that out. There's a card, de Gaulle can come in. You can just flip that to the Soviets. We're tied in the Middle East, but DEFCON has gone back up to 3, so there's a first turn pool. He could try to realign me or coup me out of there pretty easily. 3 is a bit harder. That's why I reinforced it at the end. And he's ahead. Otherwise, we're tied, though, because we've got 1 battleground each. He's ahead in Asia. He's got a bunch of good cards. The good cards I've got is I've got Destalinization. This is probably his best card, so I'm going to not play that. I'm going to eventually space it. But I'm going to want to try to patch up Asia somehow. So when I'm looking at my headlines, what do I see? I'm going to play Truman. Truman lets me remove all USSR influence. The reason is I think he might do 2 things. He might play de Gaulle to try to move into France. He might play socialist governments and try to take Italy. Either way, I can strip him out of Romania, and that's a useful thing because I'll get a VP for adjacency. And it's just a 1-op card. So I'm saving my ops for the normal round. Yeah. So he's got socialist governments. I'm betting he goes for Italy. It's not great. It would be better to have 4 in Italy, but I decided, I didn't want to give up that first turn coup in Iran. I hope he's not watching the feed. Although if he was watching the feed, he wouldn't have played blockade. So honesty, there's honesty for Tucho for you. Okay. Goodbye, Romania. You can take Italy because we're not going to let him take Europe. In order to dominate Europe, you need to have more battlegrounds and at least 1 non-battleground. So we're just going to remove. We're going to remove these. If you get to remove influence, always remove it from the battlegrounds. You're stripping him down. So what are we going to do? Well, he might have targeted Europe because he's got Europe scored. So I'm worried about Europe scoring. But I'm also worried about Asia scoring. Right now, Europe is tied. He's probably going to want to go into France next. That puts me really on the back foot because I've only got West Germany. But I think it's the time. Let's go on the offensive. Let's go for the Middle East. Nasser's been played, so we're going to coup him out of Egypt. So we've just kind of aggressively said to Tucho, you can have Europe. I'm going to take the Middle East, and we're going to dominate the Middle East. So we're going to get points from the Middle East. Of course, he had Asia. Unfortunate. Suez. I'm going to play this. We're going to let him play an event before ops now. And Asia's gone. So let's worry about Europe getting scored. So what's happening? Decolonization. Hey, he's got a good hand. He's playing well. I wonder what the stats are. Yeah. So he's ahead of me on ops. That red purge was rough, but it's not as bad as it could be. Um, what are we gonna do? Well, let's take let's take these. Let's strengthen ourselves in Asia. Now the Asia card's already scored, but I don't. He's threatening to move into Thailand, so we'll prevent him from doing that. So what do we have left? D-Stel, normally you're going to want to space this, but if I wait a turn, if I hold this card, I can space it third round, and he might never get it in the entire game. And that's his best card. So we're going to do that. What does that leave us with? Well, Vietnam Revolt gives him bonuses if I play it, so I want to hold that till last. That leaves these two cards, US, Japan, and Warsaw Pact, as my big ones. But let's take domination in the Middle East. And what do we do? Well, we've got Warsaw Pact, not great. He can choose to add influence or he can choose to remove me, but it's not a terrible thing to play. And it lets me keep a 4 up. So we're going to do that. Let's do that. Okay, Warsaw Pact, but I want to see him event 4 ops because I want to know if he's going to add influence to Easterly and Poland or if he's going to strip me out of Romania. If he tries to strip me out of Romania, I might just place back in. Okay, so he's 4. It's 4 and 3. So let's not take this nonsense from him. And we're going to. South Korea is a rough one. Korean War has still not been played. So let's continue. We're going to threaten. We're going to threaten control of the Middle East. We're just going to take a bunch of countries there, not give up. If we can keep ourselves tied in Asia and Europe, but we can have a strong VP lead in the Middle East, we're doing well. Oh, for fuck's sake, he's discarding my scoring region. At least it's the second turn, so this is going to come back. What's he going to do? He might take France, but okay. So Korean War. I'm going to play Vietnam Revolts. It's the end of the turn. Play for ops, event after ops, and let's mix it up. I got a stronghold card. I could place into Colombia, but I don't really like that. Let's place in Libya because he might coup in Egypt in order to try to control access to Libya. Okay, third round. Where are we? He's winning, but only by a little bit. What I take a look at my card. My hand? What do I see? So Korean War. I've got control over it. That's good. Middle East is good. I've got control over when this scores, so I'm going to be able to get points from that. Europe, I might want to dump it for a headline. I don't think there is a super obvious headline for me here. I mean, I could play. If he's got socialist governments, headlining Europe scoring is bad. But I'm going to headline Europe scoring because I think he's going to look somewhere other than Europe. Ooh, beautiful. So we dumped Europe scoring. We did that. Minimal VP loss. We're preventing him. He could take control of a bunch of other countries. What's he going to do? He's moved into Libya. Doesn't matter. Tuco, you can have Libya. It's going to take you another 3 ops. Who cares? Nobody cares. In fact, Arab Israel. Let's go with nuclear test ban. Play for ops. 1-2. You see what's happening here, huh? There you go. You're going to lose the Middle East, Tuco, and that's going to shift VP in the U.S. direction. We're going to end this tutorial winning the game so far, which is great. Normally, U.S. is down a bit by the end of the third round. So he's played Eastern European Uprising. Again, I'm going to strip him out of his battlegrounds because he's got 3 and I've got 1. Maybe I can take France. But the more I remove from him, the more likely it is I'm going to be able to flip a country in Europe. So I can score Middle East anytime. I can also keep taking countries to increase my ops. But, 4 is good. Let's do that. Middle East scoring. There you go. Thank you. US is now at 2 VP. Sorry, Tuco. Play better next time. Okay, so what's he doing? He's moved into the lead again in Europe. So he's got what? He's got 5, 6, and I've got 4. I can pull into parity by taking these 2. He's probably going to win this one. Europe, what do we do? I mean, we might just have to give up on it, which is unfortunate. In which case, let's space de-Stalinization. Right, he can get some VP from Europe. I'm going to try to get this 2 VP on the space race first. So I've spaced. That's throwing out a card. The rules and requirements are up at the top. Start, it needs to be a 2-op card. Okay, he doesn't have Asia. That's what I'm learning. If he had Asia, that would have been a great time for him to play it because I'd given up. So instead, he's like South Korea. So I think now is a good time to play Korean War. We want it out of the game. He's moving into France. I don't care about that. So we're going to play Korean War, but we're going to play event before ops. Because if Korean War goes my way, maybe I'm going to put these ops into Korea. It didn't. Really didn't go my way. Well, let's try to salvage Asia. Maybe we can get 8 countries here and use that to balance them. But I don't think we can this turn. Okay, so he's played CIA created. He's not doing badly. What are we going to do? This is a painless. It's not last turn. I think we can threaten. We can threaten into South America. So, because we've got a 4-op, and so he might coup, but then we can coup with a really strong card. And what we're doing is we're threatening to move into South America early in the middle of mid-war. Fortunately, he couped it. That was expected. We're going to coup him back with a 4-op card. There you go. Okay, so I'm going to close the cast, although we're going to continue playing this game, I think, because this is interesting. It's pretty close. He's ahead in Africa. He's ahead in Asia. The U.S. is ahead in the Middle East and South America and Central America. And I've put him in authority position. He can either try to coup Colombia and prevent me spreading into Venezuela, or he might want to coup Panama. But I think in North America, I'm in a good position. So I'm going to report back in the comments about who actually won this.